What you are about to hear is not just a survival story. It is a reminder of what our human spirit is capable of when everything is taken away. Now imagine this. You are in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. No land, no signal, no engine, no rescue, just endless water in every direction. And beneath you, a small inflatable rubber raft slowly leaking air. Nothing else. Now ask yourself honestly, how long would any of us survive in that situation? A few hours? A day? Maybe a week at best? Now, listen carefully. One of our own, an American sailor and naval architect, survived 76 days in this exact condition, completely alone, drifting across nearly 1,800 miles of open ocean. That man is Steven Callahan. And what makes his story even more unbelievable is not just survival, but what survival demanded from him, because this was not a controlled environment. This was the open ocean, and the ocean does not care about who we are. It does not care about our skills, our education, or our experience. When his vessel sank in the Atlantic, everything changed in a matter of moments. There was no time to react, no time to process fear, only survival instinct. Cold water, darkness, shock, chaos, and then silence. When he finally reached his life raft, he had nothing left except what was inside it and what was inside his own mind. That raft became his entire world. No direction, no communication, no certainty, only the vast Atlantic surrounding him from every side. At first, like many of us would believe, he thought rescue would come quickly. Hours, maybe a day. That belief is what keeps most people going in emergencies, but the ocean does not follow human expectations. Hours turned into days. Days turned into weeks. And slowly, the reality of isolation began to set in. Because survival is not only physical, it is deeply psychological. The raft itself was failing. It was leaking constantly. So every few hours, he had to manually pump it just to keep it afloat. Imagine that reality, exhausted, dehydrated, mentally drained, and still forced to fight just to stay alive. During the day, the sun burned his skin relentlessly. At night, the cold ocean wind cut through everything. Storms arrived without warning, throwing the raft violently across waves as if it meant nothing. And in those moments, there is no safety, no shelter, only endurance. But the real battle wasn't the ocean, it was the mind. Because isolation does something to human psychology that most of us will never understand. Silence becomes overwhelming. Thoughts become louder than sound. Fear becomes constant. Doubt becomes familiar. There were moments when survival stopped feeling like hope and started feeling like endless suffering. And that is where most people break, because the human mind is not built to comprehend something without an end. But he made a decision that changed everything. He stopped waiting for rescue. He stopped thinking about how many days were left. Instead, he created a new rule: survive one more day. Not forever, not tomorrow, just today. That single decision turned chaos into structure, because the mind cannot process the entire ocean, but it can survive one day. So he built a routine. Every single day became a system. Repair the raft, manage the leaks, collect rainwater whenever possible, catch fish for survival, rest only when absolutely necessary. No motivation, no inspiration, only discipline. And slowly, something changed. The panic began to fade. His body adapted. His mind stabilized. Survival became mechanical instead of emotional. This is the real lesson hidden in his journey. We don't survive because we feel strong. We survive because we act consistently when we feel weak. Days turned into weeks turned into months. The ocean never changed. It remained vast, empty, indifferent. But he changed. He learned how to survive with almost nothing. How to collect rainwater like it was life itself. How to catch food from the sea. how to repair his raft with limited tools and maximum focus, and how to stay mentally alive in complete isolation. But even then, there were dark moments. Moments when silence felt heavier than waves. Moments when giving up felt easier than continuing. But every time that moment arrived, he returned to the same truth. One more day. That became his identity. Not hope, not fear, but persistence. And then after 76 days, something appeared on the horizon. Land. A passing vessel finally spotted him drifting alone in the ocean. For the first time in more than 2 months, he was seen. He was rescued. He had survived storms, hunger, dehydration, isolation, and fear. Not because he controlled the ocean, but because he controlled his response to it. And that is the deeper message for all of us. Most people think survival is about strength, but it is not. It is about discipline, adaptation, mental control. And now, think about your own life. You may not be in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, but you may feel like you are. Trapped in pressure, failure, confusion, uncertainty. And just like the ocean, those situations feel endless when you are inside them. But nothing is endless. Not pain, not struggle, not darkness. Even the longest storm eventually breaks. And this story proves something powerful. You don't need to solve your entire life today. You only need to survive today. One action, one decision, one day. Because if one of our own can survive 76 days alone in a leaking raft in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, then you are more capable than you think. And maybe your situation is not the end. Maybe it is just your ocean phase. And oceans are survived one wave at a time. Just one more day.